Today, we welcome the man who led Rome through war and plague. And yet, in the middle of all that, he sat down to write personal notes to himself. Those notes became Meditations, one of the most influential books in history. His name? Marcus Aurelius. Hope you enjoy it.
Marcus, welcome back to life, man. How was eternity?
Very good, thanks. Actually, I have to go back soon, but I'm glad to be here again, at least for a while.
Okay, so let's not waste time. Marcus, first of all, for the people who don't know you, who are you, what did you write, and why? And what exactly is Stoicism?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm Marcus. I was emperor of Rome, but I didn't ask for the job. It was handed to me as the adopted heir of Antoninus Pius. But neither Antoninus nor I were born or raised as royalty.
Emperor Hadrian didn't have any heirs of his own. I was young, so he made Antoninus emperor with the condition that he would adopt me.
I wasn't born to be emperor. As a kid, I had a quick temper, impatient and harsh. And then life taught me loss early, my father, mentors, and even 8 of my children. Stoicism became my way to steady myself through all of that. Meditations was never meant as a book for others, just notes to remind myself how to stay grounded while leading through wars, plague, and unrest.
So I didn't start the Stoicism movement, but basically it's a philosophy and it's not about feeling nothing, but not letting your feelings rule you.
You can't stop the storm, but you can choose how you stand in the rain.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so Marcus, before we get to the wars and politics, tell me about your childhood. Who shaped you the most in those early years?
Well, I lost my father when I was very young, so my mother became my first guide. She taught me that wealth means nothing if you can't govern yourself. Also, my grandfather believed simplicity was strength, and he even had me sleep on a hard bed as a boy to toughen me up. But the one who changed everything was my teacher, Rusticus. He gave me the writings of Epictetus, and I realized philosophy wasn't for books, it was for life. I remember one day in the forum, he pointed at the senators arguing and said, "The world will always pull you into its noise. Learn to stand apart." I never forgot that.
Wow, that was a piece of lesson from Rusticus. But take us to your Rome. What was the empire like when you took the throne?
It was huge. Deserts in Africa, mountains in Britannia, but fragile. The borders were always under pressure. I didn't rule alone at first. I shared power with Lucius Verus, and almost immediately the plague hit. Then came the Marcomannic Wars on the northern frontier. We fought in harsh winters, far from home, with supply lines breaking. And back in Rome, the Senate argued over petty rivalries. So I split myself in 2, emperor on the front lines, emperor in the capital. That was my Rome. Stretched thin, fighting to hold together an empire that could fall apart if its leaders lost discipline.
And in the middle of all that, you were writing Meditations?
Writing was my way of thinking straight, of reminding myself not to give in to anger or despair.
So let's dive into Meditations. You wrote, "The universe is change, life is opinion." What did you mean by that?
I saw it every day. Generals lose favor, cities burn, fortunes rise and vanish. The universe is constant change. But the meaning? That's up to you.
So, 2 men can face the same defeat. One sees only humiliation, the other sees a chance to rebuild. Same event, different opinion.
When the plague swept through Rome, I could have called it only catastrophe. Instead, I asked, what duty do I still have to the living?
And that's not just for emperors. Everyone faces storms, illness, failure, loss.
You can't stop change, but you can choose the story you tell yourself about it. That choice shapes your life.
Totally agree. And also, that sounds a lot like your idea of the inner citadel, right?
Yeah.
Well, I never used the concept of inner citadel. That came much later from a modern philosopher, Pierre Hadot. But I think he captured my meaning well. In Meditations, I wrote, "Men seek retreats in the country, by the sea and the mountains. But you can always retreat into yourself. Nowhere gives a man more quiet or freedom than his own soul. That's what Hadot later called the citadel, the mind as a fortress no enemy can touch.
Armies can break your walls, disease can take your health, fortune can strip away your wealth. But inside, your judgments, your choices, your virtue, that remains yours." You know, I recently discovered this invention you call movies. I watched one called Gladiator, great film, and it gave me a perfect example of what Hadot called the inner citadel.
Maximus stands in the arena, surrounded by noise,
blood, and death, and yet he keeps his focus.
The crowd can roar, the enemy can charge, but inside, he decides who he will be. That's the citadel.
Still, there must have been days you felt like giving up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Stoicism wasn't theory for me. It was survival. Calm is easy in the Senate hall on a spring morning. The real test is calm in the storm.
And your method, was it really just breathing?
Well breathing and asking one question: is this in my control? If yes, act with reason. If no, let it go. Of course, it's easy to say, but hard to do. Still, you have your whole life to learn it.
That's awesome. Also, another technique that caught my attention was the premeditation of adversity. Can you explain that?
Actually, that practice wasn't mine alone. Seneca and Epictetus had worked on it long before me. But I found it fantastic for my own daily life.
The idea is simple. If you anticipate what may come, you're stronger when it arrives.
In Meditations, I wrote, "Today I will meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, even insulting." That way, when it happened, I wasn't surprised.
During the Marcomannic Wars in 175, we prepared for peace talks with a tribal leader.
Beforehand, I told myself, he may refuse, he may lie, he may betray us. And, he did. The talks collapsed, and his men raided a village that night. But because I had already considered the worst, I didn't waste time in outrage and peg. I acted. That's the practice. Train for the blow before it comes. If it doesn't come, good, you're stronger. If it does, you don't fall apart.
Premeditation doesn't make life darker. It makes you steadier.
Wow. Thanks again for being here, man. So related to this, you also wrote, all that is in harmony with the universe is in harmony with me. But if something happens otherwise, I am ready to adapt.
Yes, whenever I set a goal, I would add, if fate allows.
I can plan the defense of the empire, but if a flood or plague changes the situation, I adapt.
So it keeps ambition without the arrogance of thinking the world must obey me.
This also works for everyday situations. You expect something, and life takes you down a different path.
We often think our lives will unfold exactly as we expect, and when they don't, it can paralyze us, and that's normal.
Totally agree. Marcus, thank you so much again for this precious time that you gave us.
Thank you for having me, and may you all find strength in yourselves, whatever storms you face.
Well, people, that was Marcus Aurelius. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow this channel for more, comment if you have any questions, and see you next time.